This mission will be codenamed Operation Snake Eater.
Understood. Commencing Operation Snake Eater.
Alright guys, the baby is asleep, so you know what that means. I'm gonna record a video while she's being a peaceful little angel. And today's topic is, I have a new 2023 Game of the Year. In my Game of the Year video I made, I said my 2023 Game of the Year might change next year. It might be Baldur's Gate 3. We just gotta wait and see. But I gotta be honest, I never expected my 2023 Game of the Year to change to the Resident Evil 4 remake. I love this game so much, I just had to talk about it right away. Alright guys, so buckle up. This might be my longest video yet. So let's talk about Resident Evil 4. But first, an intro, because I feel like the context is very important for my experience with Resident Evil 4. This is my very first Resident Evil game ever. I'm coming into this game with fresh eyes, with no prior experience to the series or the original back in 2005. I don't like horror games. I don't like horror movies. I don't like horror in general. I have anxiety, so my go-to to relieve that anxiety is video games. So when I'm playing video games, I don't like to add upon that already pre-existing anxiety while playing horror games. The most horror-based movies I've ever seen are Paranormal Activity, because my ex-girlfriend in high school wanted to see them and I didn't want to be a big baby. But a lot of people don't even consider the Paranormal Activities to be even horror movies. Those are like baby movies, so. And then the most horror-based video games I've ever played is Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice and Last of Us Part 2. Last of Us Part 2 is definitely scarier than Last of Us Part 1, but it's not even horror, it's like suspenseful or thrilling. And then I remember in the Fallout 4 DLC, there's a haunted mansion that you explore, and there's like a little girl giggling in the background, but you don't actually ever see her. But on the very top floor, there's like a long hallway. You come face to face with her, and she like runs into the final room that you're supposed to go in. I said, nope, I'm good, no thank you, goodbye, and I left. That was too scary for me. Anyways, due to all of that, I have never had an interest in the Resident Evil series until the 4 remake. Out of nowhere, it seems like everyone was excited and hyped for this, and everyone and their mama was playing this. I was for sure this was a game I was gonna miss out on and I was not gonna play. But until I heard 3 important things from the overall Resident Evil community. 1, this is a very, very good game and you're missing out if you don't play it. 2, this game can be lighthearted with some campy moments and some goofy dialogue, so it's not overly serious and creepy all the time. And 3, this is more of an action thriller, more focused on shooting and gunplay and action more than horror. So I'm like, okay, I think I can handle this. Many months before I purchased the game, I watched 2 of my favorite content creators stream this game, The Act Man and Cosmonaut Variety Hour. So while I was watching them stream, I kept telling myself, okay, this is something I can handle. I think I can play this, yeah. So yeah, unfortunately, some things were spoiled for me, but honestly, those spoilers helped me feel prepared and helped me feel more confident playing this game. There were some things I memorized, some things I kind of remembered, and then some things I totally forgot while watching their streams. Like those blind Wolverine guys, I memorized those, where and when and how I'm gonna encounter them. The Chainsaw Twins, I remembered they exist, but I forgot where and when I'm gonna see them. And then I knew there was a boss fight in like the sewers, but I forgot who I'm fighting, what he does, what he looks like, how hard the fight is. And then the creepy ass regenerators, I somehow totally forgot about those creepy motherfuckers. And those are the creepiest and most anxiety filling enemies in the whole entire game. I hated those guys. So backtracking a little bit, for my 2023 Game of the Year, I decided to give it a 3-way tie. Spider-Man 2, because it was really fun. Tears of the Kingdom, because it was really impressive with its mechanical and technical gameplay. Like on a mechanical and technical level, that game is very impressive and it's a very good game. And then 3 is the Metal Gear Solid Master Collection, which won on a personal level because Metal Gear is finally on modern consoles and they're easily accessible. Also, they put Snake on the Switch and that just makes my heart so happy. But those shouldn't even count for 2023 because those games are like 20 plus years old at this point. I did this 3-way tie because I didn't really love any game from 2023. And to be my Game of the Year, I have to love that game. But unfortunately for 2023, I didn't really love any of the games. I liked Starfield, I really liked Mario Wonder, I really liked Tears of the Kingdom, I really liked Spider-Man 2, but there's nothing that I loved, you know what I'm saying? Alright, so I don't really have an in-depth analysis how Resident Evil 4 is a really good game. It's a feel thing. You just have to play it to feel it and just know. While I was playing this game, I kept thinking to myself, God damn, this is a great game. And another thought I kept having to myself is, damn, I can't wait to come back here and replay this level. Or damn, I can't wait to replay this game. That's a really good thing if I'm just itching to replay it while I'm already playing it. Because like in God of War Ragnarok, I do not want to replay that game because all the Atreus levels. But for Resident Evil 4, there's not a single level I don't want to replay. Except maybe the regenerator part. I don't want to replay that. It's too creepy. After my very first playthrough on standard difficulty, I beat it and it was 5 a.m. I immediately hopped into a hardcore difficulty playthrough. Even though it was 5 a.m. and I was so tired, I'm like, nope, I need to keep on playing. This game is too good. The guns in this game just feel like guns, you know what I'm saying? They all feel so different and satisfying to shoot. All the pistols feel different from each other. It was so satisfying taking a baby gun that's at like level 1 and upgrading it to like a mega tank exploding epic killing machine. It was just so satisfying taking your guns from nothing and then upgrading them to awesome. And each gun I feel like had a purpose and a use. It's like I think I used every single gun in the game at one point except for the RPG. I just got done playing Starfield a couple months ago and all the guns in that game feel so samey. They all feel the same. Nothing feels unique. The automatic rifles, the sniper rifles, the pistols, the shotguns, everything in that game just feels so meh. And the guns do not feel satisfying or fun to shoot. Not in Resident Evil 4, each and every gun had its own unique personality, traits, strengths, and weaknesses. And let me tell you, it never got old sniping heads with the rifle and the scope. That was always satisfying and fun. Leon is so cool.
He's so cool.
He's a unit. He's a badass. He's a tank. He's a himbo. Just the way he walks and talks, he's a man's man. One of my favorite YouTubers called him Leon Sex Appeal Kennedy, and I think that's the perfect way to describe him. He says little one-liners or comments during battle or cutscenes, and it just makes me think, God damn, Leon Kennedy is so cool. My favorite little quirk that he does is he grunts after gameplay sometimes. He'll go, huh. And his roundhouse kick is so unnecessary and overkill, I love it. And don't even get me started on his suplex, it's just too much. This game really made me like the protagonist, and that's important. I loved Leon Kennedy as a protagonist in this game. I think the beginning of a game is really important, and the beginning of Resident Evil 4 is perfect. The game barely teaches you any mechanics or controls with barely any materials or resources, and it just throws you into one of the most stressful sequences in the entire game, and it basically says, go ahead and figure it out, you'll be fine. After this really stressful sequence, like after you beat it and you survive it, they teach you more afterwards. They're like, okay, good job, you survived. Now here's your reward, the controls and the mechanics of the game. I think one of the most overlooked and undervalued part of gaming in general is the music. The music is epic and beautiful and suspense-filling throughout the entire game, especially in the house with Louise, the waves and enemies. The enemies are chanting along with the music in the background. It's just so cool. If you're my character, you're like, God damn, the music in this game is just so it's good. One of my favorite aspects of this game are all of the side quests and all the side challenges. But all the side activities are implemented so naturally and smoothly. Like I'll just be casually just walking into an area and I'll just see or hear blue medallion. I'm like, oh yeah, there it is. There weren't a lot of times where I had to go out of my way to go look for these blue medallions to shoot. They just appeared naturally in the world. Usually I hate backtracking in video games, but the backtracking in Resident Evil 4 actually feels rewarding and it feels worth it. You'll have a key so you can gain access to chests you didn't have access to before. You'll have Ashley with you and she can help you open doors you didn't have access to. Or there'll be enemies waiting there to ambush you. I tried to complete all the side quests and all the side challenges that I could, but there was one I said hell no to. The Super Saiyan Ultra Mega Epic Regenerator boss that's optional. I said no thank you. The normal standard regenerators are scary enough. I don't need a boss. No thank you. Goodbye. See you later.
End of story. Bye-bye. See you later.
I think it's a good sign when I don't hate the puzzles in a game. I really did not like the puzzles in Spider-Man 2. It just slows down the pace of the gameplay and it doesn't feel implemented naturally in the world. And I'm just like, why is Spider-Man doing these stupid little puzzles? It doesn't make sense. But all the puzzles in Resident Evil 4 felt natural, and they felt like, yeah, those belong in this world, or yeah, I understand why Leon is doing this. And they all feel different and unique from each other. They all feel fresh enough. I don't get bored. There's only one puzzle I actually really hated. Like the 3 colors in the church, you gotta like match them up properly and spin them. That one was kind of lame. Overall, I really liked the NPCs of the game. I felt like we didn't get enough of Luis. I felt like he was killed off a little too quickly. I wanted to have more of him, and I actually liked him as a companion. He actually helps you out and helps you fight in battle. And Ada was great, I feel like. She's mysterious and badass, and I never knew what she was really up to. I really liked her voice actress. I think her voice was kind of sexy, but I just think her line delivery fell a little flat. I really liked the voice, but the voice acting, it fell a little flat for me. Now, apparently Ashley is really annoying in the original game. I did not find this Ashley to be annoying at all. She's cute, and she has a character arc. She gains confidence as the game goes on. I do prefer her red hair though as a customization option. I think she looks better in red hair. Usually I hate escort missions in video games. When you're with Ashley, it's basically one long escort mission. I didn't get annoyed once. I felt like it was fine. You have the option to tell her, hey, stay back or come and get close to me. And sometimes she'll actually help you out in battle. Like when you're fighting the knights and Leon says, huh, nighty night, knights. Ashley is on top throwing blue fire at them to freeze them and help you in battle. That was pretty cool, I like that. And then she'll say little comments depending on how your battle goes. She'll be like, no, Leon, when you get hurt. Or she'll be like, whoa, good shot. I usually really don't like escort missions in video games. Like in Metal Gear Solid 3, my favorite video game of all time, the final mission of the entire game is an escort mission with an injured Eva, and I hate that mission so much. It's so lame. I don't like it. So the fact that when you're with Ashley, I didn't find it annoying, that's a good thing. And of course, the merchant is amazing. He has an amazing accent. He has awesome one-liners. What are you boyin'? Ugh, you got the stench of battle on you, stranger. I just love his accent.
You have the stench of battle on you, mate.
And of course, the best NPC of the whole game is Dog. He is a good boy. This game really activated my loot goblin brain. With combat, it always felt satisfying to kill enemies because they always drop an item, and I'm always hoping, please be ammunition, please be ammunition. There's loot containers everywhere and little treasures to find, and they're always worth obtaining. I feel like the game spreads out all the loot and it was perfectly balanced. It was always satisfying finding the treasures and finding the little gems and putting them like in a crown or whatever and selling them to the vendor. One thing that I had to get used to and I didn't like at first is the controls and movement system. I had someone tell me that it's called tank controls, I think. It always just felt so restrictive. There's no sprint, there's a jog, there's no evade unless it's a very specific timed event or a very specific enemy using a very specific attack, then there's an evade. Stealth always just felt useless, and I felt like the game didn't want me to use stealth. I mean, there's no stealth mechanics except crouch, and then one stealth weapon, which is the crossbow. I don't know if it's a Resident Evil thing, but I really wish there was silencers you can add to your weapons in this game. That would have been pretty cool. Multiple times throughout my playthrough, I feel like the game wants me to react or move in ways that I'm just not allowed to. Like during the troll fight, I felt like I was always too slow, I couldn't get out of the way, or I couldn't evade because the troll is just too fast. And the game wants me to get out of the way, but I just can't because the controls don't let me, and there's no dedicated evade button. But they did add one mechanic to the game that saves this for me. Parry. It always felt satisfying, and it was like life-saving to parry things. It was just so awesome, because when you're in a pickle, the parry will always save you most of the time. It felt so satisfying and badass. Like there'd be an axe thrown at you, and Leon just parries it out of the air. It's so cool. Or Leon can parry a freaking chainsaw. That's just awesome and over the top and just so cheesy. I love it. My favorite, if an enemy is empty-handed and they come at you with their hands, Leon can just parry their arm off. I'm just like, God, it's so cool. The parry never got old in this game, and I always loved it, and it was always satisfying. I know there's that cliche, like every video game these days has a parry, and does Spider-Man need a parry? Probably not. But you know what? Resident Evil 4 needs a parry, and thank God they have it. As I was playing this game, I kept being reminded of Last of Us mechanics and gameplay. I'm not sure if the original Resident Evil 4 inspired Last of Us, or Last of Us inspired this Resident Evil 4 remake. Whoever inspired who, I just loved. I kept getting Last of Us vibes. And I also got God of War vibes, weirdly enough, because you're in a boat going around to the different little islands or areas on the lake. I'm like, This is very God of War. I might just be making this up or it's wishful thinking, but I kept getting a lot of Metal Gear vibes and a lot of Metal Gear references. Like Luis dies with a cigarette in his mouth that Leon has to give him while he's dying, and the cigarette falls from his hand. That literally happens to Big Boss and Solid Snake in Metal Gear Solid 4. At some point during the game, someone says, "You're pretty good." I'm like, "You're pretty good. That's Metal Gear."
That'll do it.
They're pretty good.
But that was some fancy shooting. You're pretty good.
Pretty good.
There's the CQC fight with Krauser and you're using your knife for close encounters, and at one point, I think Leon says to Ada, you know, using your knife for close encounters is more effective than guns. I'm like, that's CQC, man, that's perfect.
Try using knives next time. Better for close encounters.
Not a bad move.
You literally eat snakes, and there's snakes hiding in boxes. Snakes in a box? Come on, man, that has to be a Metal Gear reference. Krauser reminds me of so many Metal Gear bosses put into one. He reminds me of the boss, because he's your former mentor who betrays you. He reminds me of the Fear. He reminds me of Volgin. He reminds me of Vamp. Just like in Snake Eater, you start the adventure with basically no resources and one weapon, and you have to acquire new weapons and resources as the adventure goes on. You have to find it along the way. Basically, all the boss fights have superhuman abilities, just like in Metal Gear and the Cobra unit. One thing I really loved about this game is this really felt like a PS5 and Xbox Series X game. There have been so many disappointing games this generation where I'm like, this doesn't really feel like a PS5 game, this feels like a PS4 game. But no, Resident Evil 4 feels like a current gen game, and I just love that. The graphics and visuals of this game are some of the most impressive I've seen this generation. Part of the most impressive thing that I experienced is fidelity mode, 4K mode, runs at 50 to 60 frames per second with my TV variable refresh rate turned on. No game with fidelity has been able to hit 60 frames per second for me, except for maybe Call of Duty. I really like the HUD in Resident Evil 4. It just feels so simple and clean and perfect. It's so immersive. There's nothing really to distract me and tell me, oh yeah, this is a video game. There's no mini-map, there's no compass, there's no waypoints, there's no stats, it's just perfect. Even better, there's no supervision. Like every video game these days has some kind of vision where you can like see things in the world and it like highlights them for you. It's always called something like supervision, hunter vision, helmet vision, whatever it's called. I swear it's in every video game these days, and it's refreshing not having it in a game, and I have to actually use my eyeballs and find things myself. I like the customization options the game gives you. I prefer Ashley with the red hair, like I said earlier. They also give her cute glasses, I like those too. Then with Leon, I really like this hero outfit when I'm in the castle fighting. It just felt like it fits the vibe. And this one, I just kind of think is goofy and silly. I gotta be honest though, my favorite outfit for Leon is definitely just his basic tactical gear outfit. The vest and the elbow pads, it just looks so cool. And with Ashley, I actually really prefer this romantic look. I don't like it on Leon, but on her, I think it looks really cute. She looks pretty good with blue hair, but I think she looks great with the red hair on. One of my favorite mechanics and surprises I found in this game, Leon is a snake eater. Leon eats snakes, man. They went out of their way to make Leon a bona fide, certified, official snake eater. There aren't very many animals in the game. There's like eggs, fish, bugs, and snakes. Like they could have added any animal in the entire game, right? But they added snakes for Leon to eat. I don't know, that kind of feels intentional. I really enjoyed the boss battles in this game. They're spread out enough and they're varied enough. I never knew when or what I was gonna encounter with these boss fights. Each one felt tense and the perfect amount of stress, and they felt like perfect enough to get my palms sweaty, but no boss fight felt like annoying. I tried to really get into the story and the lore of the village and how the residents became evil, how they became evil residents. I like the idea of a parasite is found underground and then it's worshipped, and basically a cult is started around the parasite. But I gotta be honest, throughout the story, I did not expect giant mutant bugs. That was kind of weird and threw me off guard. I'm like, what the hell are giant mutant bugs doing in Resident Evil? Like, parasites I understand, but like big flies? I don't know. They just felt silly and goofy, and they just felt out of place. They were easily the least intimidating enemy of the entire game. They just remind me of the flies from A Bug's Life, or they remind me of Superfly from the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie voiced by Ice Cube. I kept hearing Ice Cube's voice in my head. I love when games actually take advantage of the PS5 controller mechanics. The trigger resistance felt amazing and it felt so satisfying, and I swear every gun had its own trigger resistance. And then of course when you have radio calls, it comes through the PS5 controller speaker. That's pretty cool. One small nitpick I have for this game is throughout the game I kept seeing repeat enemy character models, and it just pulls me out of the game a little bit. I'm like, wait, I've seen that guy before. I've killed that guy before. I feel like the PS5 and Xbox Series X hardware could have easily handled every single resident having their own unique character model. And then one very small narrative nitpick I have, I find it kind of funny and it's goofy. There's gunpowder and ammunition just around the world for me to pick up, but Leon is like the only one using guns in the entire world. Like, why aren't any of the residents or bad guys using guns? There's gunpowder and bullets everywhere for them to use, but they just don't use it. It's just funny. I was surprised how long this game was and the different areas and biomes and environments that it gave me to explore. My first playthrough was 20 hours on standard difficulty, and I thought that was a perfect length with a ton of replay value. It was just awesome. The game kept going on and on and on, and it never dragged for me, it never bored me. I was fully engaged and entertained the whole time. Now, I don't always do scores, but for Resident Evil 4, I would give a 9.5 out of 10. It would be a 10, but you can't pet the dog. Why give me a cute dog in the video game if I can't pet it? You save the dog, you fight alongside the dog, you call the dog a good boy, but you can't pet him? Resident Evil 4 loses half a point in my eyes just for that. I'm sorry. 9.5 out of 10. Trying to tease me with the unpettable doggo. How dare you? To end the video, I have a tier list of enemies I hated the most by the amount of anxiety they gave me and how much I hated fighting them. Number 9 is the Chainsaw Twins. Number 8 is the single giant troll boss. Number 7 is the giant troll duo. Number 6 is the Mega Knight optional boss. Number 5 is the single blind Wolverine guy. Number 4 is the blind Wolverine duo. Number 3 is the infected knights while you play as Ashley. Number 2 is the crazy boss in the alien mech suit in the sewers. That guy was just nuts. Then number 1 is every single regenerator encounter. Those were the creepiest motherfuckers in the whole game. I hated them. When you shoot off their legs, they just grow back. They chase you. They make otherworldly sounds, and they're fast and they're just so creepy. And they're in those body bags and they slip out. Oh, I hated them. And then the only way to kill them is if you have the infrared scope and you look inside their internal organs and shoot the parasites out of their body. That's the only way to kill them. Don't like that. No thank you. Alright, closing remarks. I don't think I'm gonna play another Resident Evil game. I've heard and been told this is like the least amount of horror in a Resident Evil game. Like I said, it's mostly action and mostly guns and fights and stuff. And I'm totally okay Resident Evil 4 being my only Resident Evil experience. I'm totally okay with that. It's the perfect experience for me. I'm totally okay leaving it alone. I kind of want to play the original. I bought it for like $4 on sale. I was kind of interested in Resident Evil 2 to get like the backstory behind Leon, but I think there's a boss in that game, like Mr. X or something, that's invulnerable and you can't kill him. I hate that in video games. I need to know I can kill the thing that's chasing me, but you just shoot him and it does nothing to him. I hate that. I don't like that. So yeah, I am very surprised that a Resident Evil game is my 2023 game of the year. I'm currently in the middle of my hardcore difficulty playthrough. Just don't know what else to say. This is an awesome game. I love it. I'm pleasantly surprised, and it's awesome that this was nominated for Game of the Year because it's a sequel and it's a remake. You know what? I feel like it fully deserves it. This game is freaking awesome. Guys, I'm editing the video right now and I totally forgot. I don't know how, but the actual best NPC in the entire game is Helicopter Dude. Mike, I think his name was Mike. He was the best NPC. I'm sorry, dog. You're second best NPC. Mike, you the man.